Hello everyone, welcome back to a new film study. Today we got the last but not least of the custom auto fight series, and we got Mike Tyson versus James Tillis. The reason I chose this fight, it was the first fight of Mike Tyson's that went the distance, so I didn't want to just do a knockout fight because he had knocked out a lot of guys before this. And yeah, I want to talk about some stuff. Tyson was definitely the quicker mover of the three from Custom Auto's fighters. And not by quickness, I don't mean the punches specifically. I mean his slipping and how he moved forward. The intensity in which he came forward was very intense. I said Jose Torres was very relaxed at times, and Mike Tyson, like the way he, I don't know if you could see it here actually. Well, he doesn't really do it here. I'll wait till he does it. Tyson was so much, like he was so much faster. He burnt so much more fuel like that. I would put him closer to Floyd Patterson, the way he moved. But Floyd Patterson was pretty relaxed in his movement too outside. He was a fast puncher, but Tyson, on his way in, he was very fast. And then I think the reason he did this was because he was fighting guys of this size. I think Tillis is 6'4" or 6'5". I think 6'5". Huge men. So I said before, the custom auto style, I think it wasn't meant for guys, for heavyweights this big. It would have worked a lot better if guys were a little bit smaller in the older days. Around custom auto came up with this style in the 50s, I think. So I think that's why Tyson struggled a bit more. I mean, he did knock out a lot of big men, but I'm talking about the good fighters. Even with Floyd Patterson, he fought some big men too. But the style, the short arm reach that these guys have. I mean, Mike Tyson's 5'10", so he's not short by any means. But he's only able to fight. He did land some jabs, but he wasn't able to jab when he couldn't land some combinations. He wasn't able to move around and jab because I think of the height distance. So he had to just be the fighter, and I think that was sort of like the down part of the cuss style for Mike Tyson is he couldn't, even if he did know how to jab and move, he couldn't do that. Like how James Tillis is just moving. Like Tyson couldn't do what James Tillis is doing here. Just moving around, dancing, taking time off of the fight. Tyson had to be the one to push and fight. So I think that was the major drawback of the cuss style for Tyson. Now, you see Tyson with the solid right hook. This is a punch that all of them had. Jose Torres, Floyd Patterson, is that right hook to the body. Boom. Boom. Powerful punch. Now, the other drawback that I want to highlight about Tyson's career is he always fought guys that weren't very special, but they became very special on the night he fought them. And I think that's because he was so dangerous. Guys, even if they weren't as good as they should have been prior in their career, that night they fought him, they just had to be on their 100% A game. I mean, Tillis, the commentary team kept saying how he got tired after like a couple rounds. But he said for this fight, he's trained as hard as he can, whatever, and he has that fighter spirit in him. Same thing, I think, with Buster Douglas and a lot of guys. They couldn't take Mike Tyson non-seriously, so they had to train the hardest they could, and which gave Tyson the harder fight because he fought guys when they were at their A game, opposed of other points of their career. I hope that makes sense. So the better you are as a fighter, the more of a knockout artist you are as a fighter, the more guys are gonna train to their best of abilities, and they're gonna come into the ring better than they have been before. So that's the drawback of being a knockout artist and scary like Tyson is. Guys aren't gonna go in there doing half workouts. They're gonna give it their all. So when you are the best, people are going to bring the best. I hope that makes sense. Now we see here, quick Tillis, he threw a nice uppercut, and he held on. And Tillis is doing the smart thing. Don't just hold on to Tyson on the inside, keep him on the outside. Pretty standard procedure against a shorter guy. That was a nice left uppercut by Tillis. But you could see, even if he's landing a punch, he doesn't really want to stay there. He's just trying to touch and move. Even if it's not a touching punch, if it's a hard punch, he's landing it and getting the hell out of there. And just holding on again. I'll talk about some stuff that Tyson is doing because this is a Mike Tyson film study. Nice right hook. Now this is why I want to say something about Tyson is when I look at all the great fighters in the past or present or whatever, Tyson had the best technique of throwing punches. I mean, no one had better crisp technique than Mike Tyson when he threw a hook, when he threw an uppercut, when he threw that right hook to the body. So Tyson had the best technique for his punches. It's just that he couldn't put them together always as he should. But technique-wise, I don't think a lot of people come close to Mike Tyson's technique of throwing a punch. He said he would stand in a mirror and throw the uppercut 100 times or 300 times. I tried to copy that when I first started boxing too, just going in the mirror and practice, and it works. But like Tyson had the best. Like a lot of guys talk about, oh, this guy has the best jab. This guy has the best right hand. The other punches, the hooks and the uppercuts, Tyson had the best technique, the way he turned into them. That just brushed the nose, and I know that still hurt. But Tyson had the best technique for hooks and uppercuts, I think, of a lot of great fighters. He just practiced them so much. But he just fought big men, so it's hard. Even though he was a really hard puncher, those big guys could take a punch, so it's hard to knock out every horse, and then you're stuck with not being able to box, moving around because you are shorter, and then it's a drawback for that style. The 80s and 90s too were like specifically, I think, when heavyweights just became huge. There were some big heavyweights in the 70s and before that, but big men started fighting in the heavyweight. Now, Tyson did have a jab. He did land it. He just couldn't jab and move. He used it for the attacking purposes. And he's standing pretty tall right here. He should have been a lot shorter. And if I fight anybody that's taller than me, I almost don't even look at their face. I just focus my eyes on their chest and their stomach. And all I'm doing is I'm slipping and jabbing to that stomach over and over again until they do something about it. Then I'll figure something out. But I always look eye level. I never look up to a fighter, if that makes sense. If I'm the shorter guy, and I just attack their body with straight punches and then get the head sometimes and then hooks to the body, uppercuts. So I say he did jab, but he just used the jab as a attacking weapon. Used it as a weapon when the jab has a lot of uses, like I always say. But it's hard when you're at his height to out-jab a guy like the size of Tillis. And I could just move around away from it. No, that was a nice right hand. Tillis was kind of going backwards as the punch hit him. So it didn't land clean. But, oh my God, there's a lot of leg power in there. Cool. So like I say, technique-wise for throwing punches, and the Tyson was the best at it. He just couldn't always put it all together. Later in his career, he started relying too much on one big shot, kept looking for that one big shot. When it was his strength was his combinations. And you look at that leg drive, just boom, even when he missed. The technique of that, dropping the legs, twisting the upper body, the hips. Boom, that was a big punch even though I missed. But you could see the technique. He repetitively worked. He was a perfectionist on his technique of throwing punches. Just fighting as a whole is a lot more than just throwing punches. So that's, I think, where he kind of struggled. Like being able to jab, move your head, not throwing too many big punches, and finding the opportunity to land a big punch. But Tyson, because of his size and his style, he was just looking for big. That was a nice shot. He was looking for hard punches to land. Now that was a nice uppercut. I'm not sure if that landed. Might have. But here, Tillis lands a nice shot too. Tyson throws the hook. That was a nice shot. Right to left to the body. And you can kind of see it kind of affected Tyson a bit. Nice body work, and then time up. Don't let Tyson loose on the inside. Now before this, the longest fight was Tyson with Ferguson, Jesse Ferguson, I think. It went 5 rounds. I don't know how to say his name, Ferguson. He let Tyson work on the inside way too much. He couldn't tie him up. He was trying to trade with Tyson. And there you go, another big hook. So these sleepy shots in the first, or is this the second round? Too early to be throwing them. Like, see the slips and rolling under dips. I think Tyson did it best. He perfected it out of Floyd Patterson and Jose Torres. He was the fastest and the quickest mover. He's a fast mover. Very explosive fighter. The biggest contribution of Mike Tyson to boxing, I think, was the excitement he brought to boxing, and how many people he inspired to start boxing. I call him like the door opener into boxing. A lot of guys after Mike Tyson fought, a lot of kids, even when I first got into boxing, all I would watch is Mike Tyson highlights. So he was the door opener for boxers, for kids and people to become boxers and boxing fans. Now, the thing I want to talk about slipping is Tyson, he slipped sideways, meaning he didn't, like, if you see a lot of other people slip, and how I slip and teach people to slip, is you bring the right shoulder, because he's slipping to his left, you bring this shoulder down. So you get closer to the opponent, right? So if he was slipping to the right, he would bring that left shoulder down. But Tyson kind of did like watch my mouse, he did a side to side. He did slip, but it was side to side instead of in. Instead of going in, he did more of a side to side. And I think it was good, but I think it left him a little too far away. So here, see how he kind of just slips to the side? And then he kind of gets in after. He kind of does dip in the shoulder a bit, but it's a lot more side to side rather than in and then landing the punch. So he's like a windshield wiper kind of. So because he was so dangerous, a lot of people put up an ugly fight against Tyson. They just hold him on the inside, and it took away his best powers, which was working on the inside. That was a nice hook to the body. So that's the effects of being too scary, is guys, they don't want to fight you, so they start holding and doing stuff. Takes away your chances to land a punch. This is before Tyson became heavyweight champ. Nice right hand right there. But see how he does those windshield wiper slips? Let's go back to the right hand. See, like he would throw his right hand from way back here. Let's see if it lands. But she was fast enough to get it to land. But here he does the windshield wiper side to side movement. Not really bringing that shoulder in where he could get closer and throw the uppercut. I think out of a boxing standpoint, not who hits the hardest, not who's better at the style. Floyd Patterson was the best boxer out of the three because he was able to jab and move back. And if you watch my film study of him, he was able to box as well as come forward, but he was still able to box, pop his jab, move back. But Tyson wasn't much of a boxer. He was more of an annihilator. But Tyson knew a lot about boxing. It's just the style they put him in, I think, played. It was his greatest asset, but also they didn't add too many boxing. They should have added a jab to him. They should have made him, I don't know. It's a lot of shoulda, woulda. But he did fight big guys, so and his arms maybe weren't as long as Floyd Patterson. I'm not sure. But he could have stood a little bit more sideways and popped the jab more like a boxer. Jose Torres, he kind of kept his hands up like Tyson too. Patterson dropped them a little bit, moved them. That was a nice step back right hand from Tillis. So that was a nice jab to the stomach, but a nice right hand also. No feint there, just went for it, bang. And like I said, guys, when they fought Tyson, they were wide awake. You couldn't fall asleep against him because he was going to knock you out. So he had to feint, or else guys would, like right here, James Tillis has his eyes wide open. Bang, right hand. Stance-wise, I compared Tyson's stance more to Floyd Patterson because Floyd Patterson would square up and he would throw the right hook a lot more and go southpaw like Tyson. The hand position, I compare him more to Jose Torres. Jose Torres, like I said, didn't drop his hands once the entire fight I did of him. Floyd Patterson kind of let his hands move around a bit. You see the technique on the punches. He's pretty square right now, a little bit staggered, but more square. Sorry, I got the hiccups. Look at that right uppercut. Like, beautiful technique, the twisting of the torso, the hips, the feet, the legs, the shoulders. Everything was perfect in Mike Tyson's technique. Technique-wise, I don't think a lot of guys, like I said, come close to his technique of throwing a punch. The way I would compare Tyson to a girl, not in a bad way, but if a girl has all the right features in her face, but they just don't come together beautifully. So Tyson had beautiful uppercuts and hooks. He just couldn't put them together the right way. I hope you know what I'm saying. He had a lot of pressure on him. When you're a knockout artist, like this fight, he didn't get a knockout. It was the first fight. It went the distance. And people always expect a knockout from you when you had, I think this is his 20th fight. And he had 19 straight knockouts. So fans start expecting things from you. But chin-wise, I think Tyson had one of the best chins in history. because he fought guys much bigger than him, and he took them shots. He did get knocked out a couple times, but compared to how many fights he had and how many clean shots he took, because he was pretty square a lot of the time. He did have great defense, but he did get hit also. But he didn't always go down, so he did have a solid chin. He definitely take a punch from these big guys. I always wanted a body that looked like Tyson's. Even when I first started boxing, I always wanted to look like Tyson. Like Jack, he doesn't look like a regular boxer. Muscles, still fast. He burnt a lot of energy throwing these punches too. His style, he burnt a lot of energy. Like Ali's style was a lot of like dancing, but he would kind of stand around, hold, and relax for sometimes. Tyson was turned on 24/7 in a fight. If his opponents were a little bit smaller, I think he would have been a little bit shorter. He was still 5'10", but these guys were huge. And this is what I want to talk about. I'm talking about a lot about other things I don't have to do with this fight. I gotta stick to the fight. Okay, this is something that Floyd Patterson and Jose Torres throw a lot, which was the right hand to the body, like this. That kind of went to the back, but instead of going with the uppercut, this is Tyson's signature combo. Instead of going the uppercut, they would go right hook and then just a straight short right hook to the side of the face. They didn't really throw the uppercut after the right hook. So this is something that differentiates Tyson on those two other fighters, which he went bang on the inside. One of the best combinations, I think. I think that's Tyson, like one of the best combinations, I think, of a fighter. Because he snapped that right hook to the body so nicely, and he came up with the uppercut so nicely. It was just, it opened so many defenses. It's hard to block both shots when they're coming from Tyson. Now I like this part of the fight. Watch how Tyson just swings around. Boom, boom, boom. Not a lot of punches land clean, but I like seeing him when he's full force pressing the gas on his combinations. There's another short heavyweight, I forgot his name, Cowie? The guy that fought Holyfield, I forgot his name, that was from light heavy, then went up to heavyweight, I believe. Can't believe I forgot his name. But his style was, he could fight taller guys with his style because he did a lot of dipping down. He did throw short punches like Tyson, but he could kind of relax a bit, duck and slip around punches on the outside sometimes. Even though he was really good on the inside, he threw a lot of uppercuts and hooks like Tyson. But he had a little bit of a different style that let him kind of relax a little bit more. That was a fast combination by Tyson. I think Tyson was just too square a lot of the times to kind of sit on the outside. He had to keep moving really fast. Dwight Cowie Muhammad. That's the fight I was talking about. If you watch him, he was pretty short. I think shorter than Tyson also. But his style, it let him he jabbed and dipped. Kind of let him relax a little bit than being on the attack 24/7. His fight with Leon Spinks, it was a good fight. He did really good in that fight. Nice hook by James Tillis. So this is what I say when Tyson, he would just be too square, too straight up. He did have a good chin, but he got hit with punches like this punch. Like he just walked in sometimes. Like here. Like just walking in too square, out of a position of a regular boxer. But he didn't mind taking a punch, Tyson. One of my favorite fighters ever, Tyson. But as you grow older, you recognize that there's pure boxers. I would never say this to his face. So he did slip good. Just standing too tall, like the Cowie, I forgot his name again. Dwight Cowie Muhammad or Dwight Muhammad Cowie. I can't believe I forgot his name. Like, he wouldn't be this straight up. He would be curled up, ducking down, and letting punches come over his back, and then coming up with uppercuts and hooks, which is what you want to do with a taller fighter. Tyson, he did bend his legs, but a lot of times he stood square, stood tall, and he was at perfect punching range. Like, for that jab, that's perfect range for a jab. Tyson should have been somewhere down. His head should have been down here, and his stomach was too straight up. Like, here he's just too straight up. He should have been more tucked in, like there. Like, this should have been 99% of Tyson's position in a fight, or not a square, but like this, bent down, chin down, head down, and watch now the punches. Quick Tillis, his punch has to come down here, and look how much space is on his head, whereas before, Tillis could throw a jab or a right hand, whatever, straight punch, and his hand will still be close. If he brought it back, it'll still be on his face. But look here, how low his hand has to get. So with taller guys, you make yourself shorter. Don't get taller. Okay, make it a nightmare for them for being tall. That's what I try to do when I fight a taller guy. Is I don't stand up tall and let him comfortably throw punches at his height. I get even shorter and make it more awkward for him to throw punches. So, but Tyson gets back up. Nice right hand. Like here, Tyson should have stayed jabbing the body, jabbing, then come up. He did do it sometimes, but he lands a nice left hand here. Nice jab. So he did have a jab. I just wished he was more compact and smaller than how he stood tall. Like there, standing too tall against the guy. If a guy has more, like a couple inches on me, I'm not gonna be standing tall like this. Okay? Because you're right in line for his jab. He doesn't have to like guess where you are. You want to make a taller guy guess where you are. I would get Tyson's head under the red rope right here. See how he's just walking in straight in? Gets caught with the jab, I think, or no. Like you see here, Tyson is exaggerating how he's going down, of course, how he's bending his legs. It's an exaggeration. But look how awkward it gets for James Tillis. I think his name is James. See how he has to look down? This is what you want, where you want to be as a shorter fighter. Not this short, but a little bit more than that. But you want to make it awkward. Take away your opponent's positives, or not positive, they're, I forgot the word for it, I keep forgetting words. His pros when fighting you, his advantages, take away their advantages. So if someone's taller than me, I want to get even shorter than I am to take away their advantage of being a tall fighter. Okay, because a tall fighter does better, he likes it more when someone's a little bit shorter than them, but not when they're a lot shorter than them. Same thing if taller than a fighter, sometimes if they get short, I get a little bit short with them to take away their ability to go downstairs. Nice slip from Tyson. So you want to work on taking advantages away from your opponent. Like there, for his style, too straightforward, moving in like that. Like, see the stomach completely straight up. Floyd Patterson kind of curled up his body a little bit more. But this means nothing because Tyson would knock me out. See, like there, he gets lazy, Tyson, or he used to when he was fighting. He gets lazy at times, just walking in. But he was terrifying at the same time, so it's hard to even, I don't know. So you see a punch from Tyson, it doesn't matter how big you are, it's still going to be scary. That was very nice. Now a quick Tillis, I don't know what he was thinking here. He went with the big hook. It was off balance. Whoa, that's the last thing you want to see when you miss a shot. Is you miss, you look back and you see Tyson with the hook. But like Tyson was a really good driller. Like if you see him work the pads in the bag, he worked on a lot of drills. So like combinations, shifting, pop up, shift, pop up. He was a very good driller of these movements. So he was able to pop and pop. I don't think James Tillis was really hurt here. I hope his name is James Tillis. I know his last name is Tillis and his nickname is Quick. Wide punch. If you watched Tyson hitting the pads with Kevin Rooney, very, very good driller, like I said. That's why his punches and movements were so perfect, but he just couldn't put it together all the time. Oh. Sorry for the outside noise. Standing too tall, get shorter. Too tall. See right there? When there's this much height difference between you and the opponent, you do not want to stand tall. He landed a nice jab though. That was a nice jab. But still standing too tall. Very explosive. Nice right hook. It's just, like the saying, there's always someone better than you. I'm not saying Quick Tillis is any better than Tyson. I mean, there's always someone, as hard as you can hit, you'll eventually run into someone that could take your punch. And then what? So that's why when power stops working, like George Foreman, he hurt everybody with his power. He literally lifted guys off their feet with uppercuts, but then he ran into guys that could take his power. And then the question is, now what? Now what are you going to do? That's why you never rely too much on one attribute of yours. You always want to work on other things. But here, like this, like for a jab, this is a perfect target for a jab. Tyson should have been, but this is far out. But you see, he's just walking in too straight up and too square. bad style against a boxer that can take a punch. He should have dug jabs to the body. If he jabbed to the body more, I think he would have been way more efficient in landing those big punches. Like there. Like I don't like if I was this guy James Tillis, I would just be popping the jab nonstop. Now Tyson is gonna slip on a Wilson and catch you, but he's just too straight up and squared. Hands, I don't know. Too easy to hit Tyson was, even though he had great defense at times. He slipped those punches really good. I just wished he worked more on other things about his boxing, and improved those. I mean, but he was only 19 years, so. He didn't knock out Trevor Berbick. So Tyson is a nightmare for the for the right opponent of his, a guy that doesn't move and wants to trade with him. He'll knock them out. But against a guy that wants to win a fight, he has trouble with that. But against a guy that's just ready to fight, he'll overpower pretty much everybody. Because like I said, he had the perfect technique and a lot of power and speed and snap on his punches. So no matter how big you are, he could hurt you. But it's when guys stopped wanting to fight him and just started boxing him. Then I think he lost his invincibility. Ooh, those were 2 shots that were really nice. Especially the left to the body. But you know how scary you gotta be to make grown men that are this 6'5" and stuff, and people are saying you're gonna like knock them out. You gotta be pretty scary to have that reputation. Like you gotta hit really hard for that to have that reputation. And that's why Tyson, I think, had a lot of power, because he drilled so much on the bag and on the pads. He had natural size on him. But the amount of drilling he did, most of his workouts you see on YouTube, there are a lot of drilling like that. That was nice. Or that one where he's on the heavy bag and he's just like 6 punches in less than a second. So his technique, like I always say, or like I've said a lot in this video, his technique was very good. That's why he delivered so much. He was so much accurate with his power shots. Joe Frazier said that too about Tyson. He said he's a marksman. He said when Frazier was fighting and Ali and those guys, they threw a lot of shots hoping they would land, but Tyson was a pinpoint accurate fighter. Puncher. See, this punch is just beautiful. I'll stop it right here. I'll continue the fight, I think, tomorrow. But yeah, I think Tyson, from fan base and for the sport, he did so much for the sport. He brought so much people into boxing. Like I said, he's a door opener into the world of boxing, especially at times. And like everybody knows Mike Tyson all around the world. His style was pretty good fighting taller guys, but I think it lacked in some places as the boxing ability. Like I said, like Floyd Patterson, he could move back sometimes and box. Tyson was more of just he was a threat the whole time, and like I said, it brought the A game out of a lot of guys that didn't show their A game before or after they fought him sometimes. But when they fought Tyson, they knew they had to be just right. So, and they really tried not to get hit, so that just made Tyson's ability to land a punch on them harder, because those other guys were trying so hard not to get hit. Instead of them landing punches, they just try to be a more not getting hit. So I think that made his fights tougher for him. So that's where you have to kind of use the boxing to get guys to open up to you, and then you could try to knock them out. But if you're always trying to pressure people into knocking them out, they're going to close off and not want to engage that much. So I think that's where the boxing comes from, the moving around, taking some time off in the ring, let a guy gain confidence, and then you throw a shot and hurt them, and you do what you do. I love Tyson. I used to try to copy him for my first few years of fighting, especially I was a short fighter. But yeah, one of my all-time favorite fighters. But I just wish technique-wise he had developed in some other areas. A lot of people talk bad about Tyson, but no, he's one of my favorite fighters of all time. I appreciate you guys. I'll be back with the second part of the video soon, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.